Hello and welcome to an Echo of Glory. This is something a bit new for you, a home live stream. We're not in the studio today. We're sorry about all of the delayed pods. Anyway, I've got your comments to the side, so please make sure you get those in. I'd love you to contribute. Today we are going to look at the Tottenham squad as it is right now and see where we think players are going to be starting, whether they're going to be a bench player. Maybe we'll give them pre-season before deciding loans, sales, and who's gone already. Some of the guys, or one of the guys, might pop into the chat at some point. We hope they are busy today, busy guys, but we have a link available, so hopefully they join. Anyway, I'm James Robbins, and yeah, let's start. So you might have seen the video we did already, the tier list. We will do we'll have some variety in these videos, but this is where we're starting for now. I actually recorded a version of this before, but then Kudus joined, so it was a bit outdated, and also it was like an hour and 20 minutes long. Now, for a live stream where you can dip in and out, I think that's good, but I don't think you want to watch a feature-length film, to be honest, on that. So let's start. Let's get the ones out the way who are gone already. Højbjerg, decent fee, gone to Marseille. I think Højbjerg gets a lot of stick, but he had his time. I think it was under Jose that 1.75% of our goals started with a Højbjerg tackle, which is just crazy. But he has gone already. Sergio Reguilón obviously played for Frank at Brentford on loan. I think he could have been useful for Frank, but it's time he moved on, and hopefully we sign maybe a left centre-back / left-back hybrid or just a new left-back. Timo Werner, probably very happily to us all that he is gone. In his first 6 months, he was a chance creation master. Like, his stats for those 6 months, he was bombing up and down the wing, getting loads of crosses, and yeah, his finishing was still rubbish. And then the fall off was, I don't want to say it's unexpected because it's been seen with Timo Werner, but it was pretty disappointing. So yeah, glad we didn't renew him. Fraser Forster, big frying pan hands. Loved in the club apparently. Every player in interviews and the little training ground bits would say how much they love Forster. He's just getting on a bit. It's probably time. By the way, let me know in the comments if the sound is okay. As I say, this is a new setup for us, so there will be some kinks to work out. Alfie Whiteman, our modern cultural king, as it were. Letterbox fame of movie reviews. Watch the Letterbox video of Alfie interviewing other Spurs players. It's on YouTube, about their top 3 favourite films. Don't expect footballers to have impeccable taste. A lot of superhero movies, which is fine. They're young 20-year-old men. But yeah, some of the picks are a little bit dubious. Then who else is gone? Valise is gone on loan. Back to Rosario Central. Fair enough. Hey, there's still a chance something comes of Alejo Valise, but I doubt it. He didn't do great on loan last season. He scored like a hat-trick in a game against someone from the 5th tier of Spanish football or something. Just not really ideal. Who else has gone? We have Damola Ajayi somewhere in here. Damola Ajayi has gone on loan to Doncaster, and he's scored about 2 or 3 goals, I think, in pre-season already. Great move for him. That day in the Europa League, being in the stadium when the 3 youth kids, Scarlett, Moore and him, scored all those goals was just amazing. Really, really enjoyed that. One of my favourite moments of last season. Probably the second one after winning the title, to be honest. Let's move on to... Who should we pick? Hill. That is a great point. Ryan Hill is probably going to go. He's not gone already, unless there's been some news in the last 2 minutes that I've missed. But he looks like he's, from his Instagram, he's not training at Spurs, or he's just not posting videos from Spurs. He looks like he's somewhere else. I think it's nailed on that Hill is leaving. Shame it didn't really work out. There's a good player there. I worked on the Premier League stadiums quite a bit for a few years, and Bryan Gil is definitely not too small as in height wise. He's about 5'8" or so. There's plenty of players in the league that are as short or shorter than him, but he was just so skinny, like ridiculously skinny, and he had no 5-yard burst of pace to really help him in the Premier League, and that's a real shame. We might have Gary join in a bit, by the way. Gary has joined the lobby. I will have to go get some earphones, but everyone's favourite Gary. Who else can we go to? I think that's all of the players that are gone already. Let's pick some players at random. We don't want to be too focused, do we? That's a bit boring. Let's get someone out of the way that's exciting, I think. Luka Vuskovic. Gary was going to pop in, but he can't. Sorry, Gaz. I'd have to do a little bit of setup to get you in. That's a shame. Let me know if you can pop back in later. Luka Vuskovic. I think he'll get pre-season. It may be a loan. I think. The news is that he'll stick around, but it's not as loud as Kota Takai, who let's go put in depth, because let's compare the two. Luka Vuskovic has come from Croatia after a loan at Westerlo in Belgium. Luka is a talent. He knows what he needs to work on. Spurs have got him working on some things. So I think he said in an interview one day that he needs to work on his speed. And at the moment he turns a little slow. But he's got a pass in him, and he scored some mental goals as a centre-back for Westerlo last season. It's mental that we got him. There was a lot of competition. 6 figures, I think it was 7 figures for a 16-year-old. Crazy. Clearly really talented. Really talented. But I just think pre-season, we've got a lot of centre-backs. We'll get onto this, but we've got a lot of centre-backs. And now we do need options to play a back 3. So maybe that's where we'll keep a lot of these young guys around. But do we want to stall their development is always a question. Now, the reason Takai is in depth is because all the news is only sticking around. And I think this is purely from a cultural perspective. The Japanese league where Takai has come from is higher rated than the Swedish league, for example, where we got Bergvall. Now, that's not to say that that's accurate. The FIFA league rankings are not. But that suggests he's come from a championshipy to League One level league like Bergvall. For him, it's going to be cultural adaptation. He speaks a very little English at the moment. It's very different coming from Europe, where you likely know English, to somewhere not too culturally different. Whereas Takai's come from Japan, and yeah, it's just going to be a cultural adaptation for him. So 6 months at the club. I was surprised when we loaned Yang out. I believe Yang might have trained at Spurs once a week or here and there when he was at QPR. Don't quote me on that, but that is common. But Yang got a London club to move to, and he was able to be close to Spurs. So in that respect, I could maybe see Takai going on loan. However, I think given the news, and that's what we want to base this on, we want to base this on some kind of information we have out there, even if it is conjecture for the most part. Takai looks like he's going to be sticking around, and Vuskovic, I think, should be given pre-season, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick around, especially for that option of a back 3. I mentioned Yang. I think he's going to get pre-season because we haven't done a lot of loans, but I think he ends up going on loan. He had a really successful time at QPR last season. Got a few goals. I think he got an assist or 2. He no more moaning from Gary to fix this. I'm sorry, Adam. Hopefully he can pop in a bit later, maybe. Who knows? Yang, he really excited the QPR fans. They would love him back, but they think he's... one comment from, you might know, James Lawrence Alcott, big QPR fan on YouTube. He just said, I think he's too good for us. Yang's a real big talent, and hey, we might not see him contribute to Spurs for another year or 2 years. He needs these loans. He needs experience in the European game. But he's played men's football, and it does show. He's made his career national team debut. As to Kai and Vuskovic, they've both made Croatia and Japan, respectively, their debuts. Quite incredible, really, for them. Especially Vuskovic already. But yeah, Takai is playing for Japan already. Yang is playing for Korea. Now, yeah, QPR, love him. I'd love to see him succeed. Given I love the Korean fan base we have, they're always great in the stadium, really nice. I just think Yang would be lovely to kind of have in the squad hopefully one day, but it's going to take some time, especially given our new signing, Mohamed Kudus plays on the right wing. Yang plays on the right wing. Kudus is a hell of a talent. I wasn't too happy with the signing at first. And I got a lot of pelters in the chat. And that wasn't because I wasn't happy about it. I just thought it was a bit too expensive. I do think with Solanke, Richarlison, Kudus, the rumoured Gibbs-White deal, I think we're spending like 20 million over the price of these players because they play in the Premier League. And that's not a problem. Premier League experience is needed. That's great that we're shopping in this market and we're not afraid to do it. However, you've got Europe out there, and I think when we signed Ndombele and Lo Celso, they joined the club at a really strenuous time. The club was a mess. Manager change, fan discontent. So I don't necessarily blame them for not performing. Look, Ndombele definitely down tools, and Lo Celso was always injured. But they joined at a bad time. But I think that scarred the club to shopping in Europe, which is a shame because there's great value out there, great players out there, but we're not spending. And it's not to say we're not, but we're not paying a load of money for shopping in that European market, which is a shame. Jake, member of the pod, Jake Sanders, comment saying Arsenal paying 55 for Madueke. I like Madueke a lot. Him or Kudus would have been fine for me. I think Madueke is very good. But now considering where he's moving, he's dead to me. And I'm very happy with Kudus. Now, the rumours of the Morgan Gibbs-White deal completely softened me on Kudus' fee because I thought us spending 60 million on him, I mean, we tend to make one of those a summer at the moment. I thought that's it, our big one signing, and I didn't want Kudus to be our one big signing. The fact that we're going for Gibbs-White as well, there's murmurings that we're going to spend more money, there's investment. I'm way more excited about Kudus and the squad makeup because of that. So I'm going to the Reading game on Saturday, so really excited to see him play. Who can we go to next? Let's get some loans out of the way. I think Keeley was on loan at Leyton Orient. I think he'll have another loan and he'll progress even more. Remember, we want these players to make it at Spurs, but then they can also make it at another club and then we can sell them for a profit, PSR and all that. But the job of an academy is to make players for the first team, but it's also just to make sure that these kids get a career in professional football. And Keeley's absolutely going to have that. Really good loan at League One. Scored a goal from goal, which is quite crazy. So yeah, I think he'll have another loan. Speaking of Leyton Orient, Jamie Donnelly had a really successful loan. I think from the murmurings he's going to get given pre-season. There's no way Ryan Mason doesn't want him down at West Brom. Ryan Mason will probably loan in someone from this massive list. But yeah, Keeley had a good loan and Donnelly had a good loan. I think Donnelly could be a great creative option in the squad. His physicality has always been a concern. He's a bit clunky, especially for a 10 where you want him kind of being able to be press resistant, glide across the pitch. And it took him a little bit to get used to it. But once he adapted, he was the first name on the team sheet. So it might be a bit of a jump to the Premier League and playing for Tottenham. But we're going to see how he does in pre-season. More likely, I reckon he goes out on loan, hopefully to a championship side or somewhere as good in Europe, so that he can just, make these gradual steps in quality, gradual steps in level, and really improve. Please, in the comments, tell me if you think I'm wildly wrong on any of this stuff, or what you think. At the end, what we'll do is we'll take the full list and I'll choose what I would do. If money was no object and it was all about me, what would I do to this squad? And then we'll look to you guys and see what you guys would change from my opinion. Donnelly's there. Gunter, I think he was on loan in non-league. I imagine he'll go on loan again. It's fine. Vicario is obviously a starting goalkeeper. Well, funny actually. I say obvious. I think he's going to be. He's the best shot stopper in the squad by a country mile. But Kinski is really good with his feet. And yeah, he had some moments passing out from the back when he came in last season, but we could see the talent he has. He is great on the ball, can clip it into the fullback. Yeah, might get a bit nervous and mess up sometimes. He is young, but for me, sometimes it's just having the way about you to do it, the confidence to try these things and not shirk it. One thing I always that annoyed me about Harry Winks was we knew how good Harry Winks' passing range was, and I feel like you could see him sometimes see a long pass that was on to a winger, to a forward, and you could see him see it, and then he would chicken out and pass it 5 yards, and I'm like, that's your bread and butter. Play the pass. Kinski from goal will play that pass. That's what's brilliant about his potential. His shot stopping, however, needs improvement. Now we've got that new goalkeeper coach. I think his surname's Otter. He was at Liverpool, and there's a great video going around. I urge you to see it, of him kind of getting almost the players to put on like horse blinders, and so they had to turn their head to look for options, so they didn't just aimlessly pass it, which we've definitely seen from Vicario. These modern kind of goalkeeping coaching techniques, some people might say it's nonsense. I think it's really fun and keeps the players engaged, and that is brilliant. It gets the goalkeepers scanning, because you hear that about midfielders and forward and outfield players, but even a goalkeeper, if they're going to play out from the back, they need to scan. Brown and Austin go straight into depth, sign a new deal. I think he performed really admirably in the Europa League when Forster just kind of proved he couldn't do it. Yeah, he came in and was great. I was sad for him that we signed Kinski, because it kind of meant that he might have limited those opportunities, but I don't believe Kinski was in the Europa League squad, to be fair. But yeah, Austin performed really well. He'll get a club at some point, or he can stick around and just earn a fortune, chilling, training and such. It's not a bad life, is it? Let's do someone else from the first team. Dominic Solanke is obviously our starting striker. I think he's going to fit Frank so well. We still don't really know how Frank's going to play. He is adaptable, and with the technical quality we have, you'd expect him to make a slight change with his football. But Dom Solanke is so perfect. His hold-up play is elite. That's what they use Johan Visser for. He's a far better player than Johan Visser, in my opinion. He's used to playing in deeper blocks. Visser is not. Visser likes space. So if, say we sign Visser, which we have been linked with, there is a question mark over his ability to play against deep blocks, because he's not really had to do it. And a lot of his goals seem to be like one touches and from set pieces, which we will probably see a marked improvement in. But yeah, I think Solanke is perfect. Bringing the wingers in, and considering Kudus will play, people think Kudus is a dribbly winger. People probably think he's going to be more of a creator. I disagree. Kudus is a goal scoring winger. He likes to shoot first. He is going to frustrate Kudus. He's a bit of like, he's not this bad, but reverse Brennan Johnson in a way. Brennan did nothing, but he scored the goals. Kudus will take random shots, aimless shots that aren't on. He will miss the pass, but he's a bums off seats player, and he is a hell of a talent. But he is going to frustrate, and I do worry about that from our fans to begin with. But I think he'll be fine. But Solanke playing him in, Solanke holding the ball up for him, no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. Sorry about any noise outside. It is a hot day and there is building work going on at flats over the way. I do apologise. If it gets too noisy, please let me know and I will boil in my flat and shut the window. Let's move on to... If you want me to go to anyone, let me know. Let's go to Pedro Porro. I don't think there's any question mark over him being the starting player. There's some Spurs fans in the media space saying, nah, Spence might be the option. Some people said Spence is the best one-on-one defender in the squad. I think he's brilliant, but I don't really agree. Personally, I think that's as our fullback Suzu Doggy. Spence had 5 good games last season. Really good. But once the squad kind of fell off, he wasn't doing it anymore. For me, his fall off was really hard. And that's the reason why I can't put him in as a starting option. I just don't think we've seen enough to be confident in that yet, nor have we heard any news that that might be the case. But Spence will be around, and he will be depth because he can cover both sides. He's a brilliant player, brilliant option. And if we see more of him from that first 5 games, or 5 games we're running at, I'm exaggerating with 5, but you know what I mean, then amazing. But Porro, we don't currently have, until we hopefully sign a 6 that can pass the ball, or if Gibbs White comes in and maybe he plays like at number 8, because Morgan Gibbs White has a hell of a passing range, like really, really, really good. I think he could play deep, but we'll get onto that a bit later when we talk about someone else. But at the moment, our best progressive passers are Porro and Romero. Porro is incredible. We know that. Great in the final third. Great crosser of the ball. Great passer of the ball. Goal scorer. Great striker of the ball. Great finisher. And defensively, he's come on leaps and bounds. When he first joined, and he joined to be under Conte as a wing-back, my days, his defensive ability was abysmal. But Matt Wells, who's still staying in our coaching team, is seen as a bit of a wizard when he works with players like fullbacks on the defensive game. And Porro is still by no means an amazing defender, but he is massively improved. He stops his crosses way more. He intercepts way more. Major improvement. And I just think why we can't take out any more creative players, especially progressive players from deep. When we didn't have Porro Romero, it was so hard to link the defence to the midfield or the forward line. It was so hard to get out. So yeah, Pedro Porro has to stay. And also Frank's excited to see what Frank will do with the team. Me too. And I think Frank, if we play like Brentford, he likes a lot of passing around the back. So having confident players in that, and you can say that Porro, Van der Ven, Romero, Spence and Udogie all are. And then likes to hit it long or hit the pass into midfield. And who's better to do that other than Porro? To play that ball forward? I don't know. You tell me. But that leads me on to Christian Romero. You can say I've lost my head, but for me, he's the best player at the club. I think he's brilliant. There's been the links to Atletico seem to have cooled. By the looks of things, we will keep him for another year and maybe see what happens for the last year of his contract. I think he'll go next summer, personally, and I think the rumours are looking that way. If no one's going to pay what he's worth, Atletico trying to pay 50 million when you look at the centre-back market and how the price players go for. Romero is a World Cup winner, Europa League winner. He's a £70 million. He's one of the best defenders out there. For me, his only problem is his injury record. He does get injured a fair bit. But hopefully that will dwindle now that we've got Frank and not Ange Ball that was just so nuts. And, we'll see. But I think Romero is the best player at the squad in the team, at least top 3. And keeping him would be huge. If we do sell him, we have to go big on a defender, whether it's someone like Mark Gahey that we went big in January for. Again, I think we offered like 60 million for Gahey in January, and that was a no. So if he's worth that in Jan, and now he might go to Liverpool, then Romero's worth more than that. It just is. It's just better than Gahey. Gahey's got consistency, to be fair. One thing that doesn't worry about me with Romero is his disciplinary record. It's hard to get out. He's massively improved. There were some moments where he went in for some scary challenges in the back end of the season, but generally he's massively cooled. He hardly gets red cards. He went ages without getting a yellow. Absolutely ages. And I don't mean because of injury and not playing. I mean like in playing time minutes, he went ages without a yellow card. Really, really good improvement from him, becoming really smart with it. And I'm prepping a video on Kota Sakai. Kota Sakai, I think, profiles more like Romero. He's got good pace, but he's not Van de Ven. No one really is, other than that maybe that Esteve we were linked with from Burnley. Takai loves to fizz a ball into midfield. He's a little two-footed, so he can play on the left side. He's aggressive. He likes to get up. He likes to get forward. We've done a couple of interviews with some Japanese football experts that we hope to put in this video, sprinkle in. And they think he's brilliant. They're surprised he jumped to the Premier League. But for me, he profiles like Romero. That does not mean that he's ready to take that spot. Absolutely not. But I do think it's interesting how we've matched his profile with a young centre-back that can play the ball out from the back. Tyrese Hall. I love Tyrese Hall. Kid in the academy. Plays number 10. I think first and foremost he's an 8 or a 6. Really technical, dribbly. One of the best academy talents we had. Something weird happened with Ange last year because he was in pre-season and then he was binned off back to the academy and never training with the first team. So something weird happened, and then there were rumours his confidence was gone or whatever. We don't really know what happened, and I don't want to speculate, but something happened, and he ended up in the academy again, and it took him a while. But once he was back up to speed, he was great. So yeah, I think get Hall alone. To be honest, I'd love to see that. I really don't want us to squander his talent, and I hope now that we have a new manager and we've got a new coach that's kind of been promoted to work between that youth team and first team kind of connection. Yeah, and then Reece Russell-Denny we signed. He's not on this list. I wouldn't mind putting Reece Russell-Denny in loan as well. He looks a talent as well. Him and Hall look to be dovetailing quite well so far in pre-season. I think they both scored in a game in pre-season, which we might have lost. Dane Scarlett. I think he's going to get a loan, although I think it's probably time to consider selling him. He's not torn up any trees on loan, but he is a talented young player. So maybe it's time. And strikers peak late. Like Haaland and your Isak, they've all messed with our heads to make us think that strikers should be scoring 20 goals at 20. That's just not the case. Scarlett might develop slower. Look at Solanke. Solanke is prototypical striker development. Struggled early on in his career at the top level. Kind of went to Bournemouth. Performed in lower leagues. Got to his mid-20s. Started to really perform. Now he's mid to late 20s. And he's an elite level striker nearly. A very, very good striker. I think he could be elite. But at the moment, he's a great, great striker. So Dane can be on that trajectory. And whether that happens with us or not, I don't know. Ashley Phillips. Now, there's been mixed views on Ashley Phillips. I don't think he's going to make it at Spurs. I think we might sell him. There was a rumour that Frank might keep him around. It sounds like a lot of players are going to get pre-season, but I can't just shove everyone in there. Phillips, rumoured to 5 mil to Sheffield United. He's a good Championship centre-back. They loved him at Stoke last season, but my days, he can't really pass. He's not good under pressure, and he's big. His turning under Ange, I just said absolutely not. He has no future whatsoever. Maybe he does slightly more under Frank, and maybe he's one that you keep around for a year, give him a couple Premier League games, bit minutes, and then that increases his value, and we sell him on. That would be a smart thing. Liverpool got big money for a academy centre back who wasn't that good years ago. I can't remember what his name was. So something like that maybe, but I could see him just getting sold for profit. Alfie Devine went on loan to Westerlo, where Vuskovic was. And I find this one really hard. I find this really difficult. I think last pre-season, Alfie Devine was performing as well as Gray and Bergvall. And I think he deserves a loan to the Championship. Just one more. This is a bit of me, but he's been linked with Sheffield as well. But I just really like Alfie Devine. And I do think the team has passed him by while he's been out on loan with the young midfielders we've bought. I worry that we're going to sell him, and look, I hope he has a great career. But it's, a Championship loan for him would be amazing. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sold, which would be a shame. Sarr, don't think his passing is from Will. Sarr, don't think his passing is good enough. Can he make it as a physical DM? Otherwise, we maybe move him on. I don't think Sarr's going to go anywhere. I disagree on his passing. I think his passing is fine. It depends what you want. Sarr's goes straight into depth. I think Sarr's really, really talented. His pressing's unreal. His final kind of like pressing up to the final third as well was important in the Europa League final. His energy will be loved by Frank. He's a bit similar to, not Norgard, but kind of you could see him play the role of the player that played next to Norgard, like Jensen or Yarmouk at Brentford. Energy, pressing, tackling. I don't think he'll be a physical like 6 style DM. He's physical for sure, but box to box number 8 option. So if we think at the moment with Frank, I think that we could see a continuation of 4-3-3. But 4-2-3-1 is what he's used for the majority of his time at Brentford, other than that, when he first came up and played 3 at the back. So if you think the two, let's go to this. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but this page here. So if we change Bergville to Sarr here, ignore that arrow. This is my first time using this. But actually it works. So a 6 here. This is kind of based upon our team from last season a bit. This is random. I've had this saved for a little while. Sarr as a box-to-box, he's so good at driving up the pitch. And he's got good shooting from around here. He's a goal threat. He gets in the box. I just think Sarr is a really good talent, and I think there is a good future for him with us. To be honest, I wouldn't be looking to sell Sarr if like a 40 million came in or 30 million. I think you consider it, but I just don't think he's a priority sale at all right now. I think he could do really well under Frank, but Bergville at the moment, before Gibbs White is signed, Bergville is the starting player. Because I think Bergville, and let's put Maddison there as well, I think that if we sign Morgan Gibbs White, he can play 10, and I think he can play 8. If we've watched some of the videos of him, he gets about the pitch really well. He's got energy. He's decent in the tackle, and his passing range is really good. He's not afraid to hit long diagonals, which we will see an increase of. We will see an increase of long balls under Frank. Bergville is improved defensively last season so much. I think he started off really rough, struggling with the pace of the game, diving in a lot. But he really improved. His tackle numbers on statistics per 90 are really high. His interception numbers are really high. His progressive carrying is his best attribute at the moment. Dribbles through midfield and up the pitch to progress the ball up the pitch. Really, really strong. And his progressive passing is all right. I think we could see, and I hope to see, an improvement of Bergville's progressive passing. And then I think he is a shoo-in to play a lot of minutes in midfield. Maddison, up there with Romero as one of the best players in the squad. Maddison does have these weird seasons where Leicester fans pointed it out when we signed him, and it's been clear with us as well. He has a third of the season where he's unreal, maybe performing like one of the best number 10s in the world, and I genuinely mean that. He's like one player that since De Bruyne joined the Premier League, he's like up there with him and assists. But then another third of the season he's injured, and another third of the season he is just average, which is not great. So signing Gibbs White, my days, would be an incredible option for that. So yeah, Maddison at the moment starting at number 10, and then I could see Morgan Gibbs White being that 8 option. And then I think if you have Morgan Gibbs White at 8 with his passing range, you don't necessarily need a passing number 6. There's a lot of something popped up. There's been a lot of stuff with something's happening to my computer. 2 seconds. A lot of talk about Wharton, which would be amazing. I don't think it's going to happen. In all honesty, I don't think it's going to happen. Although I'd love it if it did. Defensive solidity and incredible progressive play, Adam Wharton would be a joy. He cost 80 million plus, probably. If you get Gibbs White, I don't think you necessarily need that profile if we consider he might play at number 8. And then our links to someone like Palhinha, who is way more of a destroyer type and a fouler, to be honest. I don't love Palhinha. I think he's a pretty good player. But the fouls, man. The fouls in dangerous areas. I just get flashbacks of those fouls Aurier would make every now and again in the right back zone that would score. A team would then score a back post header from. And Palhinha makes a lot of fouls. But you could see a world where Gibbs White is the 8 and Palhinha is the 6. Like, imagine Gibbs White here and Palhinha kind of patrolling. And then, like, do you remember when Luka Modric was at Spurs and Harry Redknapp used to say to the defensive mids that played with him, whether that was Wilson Palacios, Sandro, which I don't think it gives Sandro that much credit, to be honest, and Parker, it was get the ball and pass to Luka. Let him do the work. Let him do the forward work. And, like, you can kind of see the same thing. Kind of same makeup, which I'd like. So I'm saying Gibbs White is going to happen in some reports today. I hope so. I think it's a lot of dodgy ITK stuff out there at the moment. That people think there's confidence that it will get done at some point. But if there is a legal proceeding, I could see it taking quite a while. Quite a while. Let's do some sales. How about that? Let's do some sales. I would like to see either Ben Davies maybe get a move. Ben has been around. He's just so ever present, Ben, and he's done a good job at the club. He's never been exceptional. Always been a 6, 7 out of 10. Willing, a model professional. Left back, centre back, covering, doesn't matter. He's the one. I've heard rumours online about Ben Davies being really smart and like definitely got a future in coaching. So, hey, maybe we keep him around and then move him into a coaching position next season. But there's no reason we couldn't sell him and then bring him back as a coach in the future. Love Ben, would absolutely be fine if he stuck around. But I don't want him taking up squad spots, to be honest. And that's Will makes a great point. Is Davies needed for back 3 cover? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, I think for cover, yes. I think you'd probably put Van der Ven left, Romero in the middle, and Danzo on the right in a 3. But then you need cover for sure. And Takai is young, Vuskovic is young, Dragoshin's broken, and we don't have another left footer. So at the moment, as it stands, you are absolutely right. So, Will, I think for that, let's move him to pre-season. Give pre-season and just wait and see what happens in the market. We don't know yet. We've been linked to centre-backs, but then there's also been people saying we've got loads of centre-backs. Why would we buy another one? And then speaking of centre-backs, Alfie Dorrington on loan. Good loan in Scotland last year. He's struggled with injuries. Hope his career kicks on. Hope he gets another loan. He must be wondering what the hell is going on with all these young players. But we need club-trained players. We need club-trained players. So hopefully he sticks around for a while and can develop. Again, centre-back's another position which developed late. More sales. Who could there be? Yves Bissouma. Apparently he is trying so hard in training. I think Alistair Gold was saying it. He really wants to stay. The thing is, I think for a lot of players we buy, we won't be the peak for them. They might move on somewhere else, or we'll be the peak for them and they'll perform really, really well. I think, for example, Maddison. We signed Maddison. I think we'll be the best club he ever plays for, but not in a negative way. He's an exceptional player, and he's, great that we have him. Yves Bissouma, we hoped would have been that good. But he's so inconsistent. At his best, he's unbelievable. At his best, he's better than Bentancur for me. But he's so inconsistent, and I think we'll sell him. I just think while he's got a decent market value, and we're linked to number 6s like Wharton, like Palhinha, like Douglas Luiz, just feels like it's Bissouma's time to go. And that means currently Bentancur is in starting 11. However, he's not signed a new contract, which has been rumoured that he's been in discussions for a long time. He hasn't got long left on his deal, only 11 months or a year till the end of next season. Atletico were linked with him. I think Bentancur might be a surprise sale, but at the moment he goes here in starting. at the moment in the current squad makeup. And then that makes for me Archie Gray as depth, can cover loads of positions. Some people might think Archie should get a loan. There's a lot of discontent around Archie. Someone said to me, Archie can't even get into the England under-21 squad in his position. That England under-21 squad has Hayden Hackney, who starts every week for Middlesbrough in the Championship, a tough league, and is honestly brilliant. I would love if we signed Hayden Hackney. I think that'd be great. You've got Harvey Elliott and Elliot Anderson. He's competing mostly with Elliot Anderson and Hayden Hackney there, and there's other options too. And then at right back, there's traditional right backs. And I don't think Gray performed that well at right back. He was admirable, and I don't think he performed that well at centre back. But he tried his hardest, and I think Dragosin was actually worse than Gray when we played centre back. But Archie Gray is a hell of a talent. I think he could be a great number 6 or number 8. And I just think if you gave him a run of games in midfield, you'd see a major improvement. Like Burfield got a run, and we had to play through his struggles of him being not very good. And then look at him. He won the Player of the Season award for the club, and he's considered a massive talent. I just think Gray, time is needed. People don't give players any time anymore, and his fee hurts him for sure in comparison to Bergvall. But that's purely from circumstance. So yeah, Gray, depth. I really want to see more of him. Frank wanted him at Brentford. We hijacked the deal to Brentford. He was meant to be the heir to Norgard, which just seems perfect for me. Norgard, a good defensive midfielder with a good passing range. Yes. And I think Gray will, and a lot of these players, if we do play 4-2-3-1, that pivot, the two, I do think Gray will do well. That single 6 role that Man City do and that Ange try to do is just so difficult. Biss, yes to selling Biss, and Bent needs to be signed to sign or something. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree, Rainman. Completely agree. I've never, in my opinion, I've never been like against selling both of them anyway, to be honest. And you're right, when did we get to the point of writing off 18 to 20 year olds? I completely agree. It's crazy. We don't have any urgency unless someone comes in and gives us like the 40 mil for Gray that we spent. Why would we write him off? It's crazy to me. And take Leeds money for Solomon. Yeah, let's put Solomon in where I think he'll be. There's been rumours that he wants to fight for his place. There's been rumours that we'll take a look at him in pre-season. I think that's protecting his value. I don't really understand where he fits, given our options. He plays left wing only. He doesn't play on the right, so he's not that versatile. And I think a bit like Devine, while he's been out on loan, we have moved beyond the idea of Manor Solomon. He was a cheap punt. We took advantage of a pretty horrible FIFA ruling or UEFA ruling that you could sign foreign nationals from Ukrainian clubs for free. And the clubs couldn't do anything about it. That's pretty rank that we took advantage of that. But it's not really on us. That rule got put in place by the federation. So, whatever. But I just think he was a get on a free and flip. He's been out on loan. We've probably not paid all of his wages. He's not cost much. And my friend's a Fulham fan. I asked him when we signed him, what do you think of Manor Solomon? He was like, he's all right. He's fine. He was nothing special. I think he got like 5 goals in the Premier League, maybe. And then he had an exceptional loan at Leeds last year. If you can get 15 to 20 million for Solomon of pure profit, helps PSR. We've got Son still here, Odebear and Tell that all play left. Kudus can play on the left. Johnson has played on the left. I don't know if he can well, personally. I think everything points to a sale for Manor Solomon, and I don't see him sticking around. But yeah, he had a good loan last year, and that's only increased his value. Maybe we can sell him to an upper championship side or Leeds, for sure. George Abbott will go on loan again. There's rumours he'll go to. There was a rumour to Leyton Orient, I think. He was on loan at Wimbledon last year. I actually went and watched him in the playoff semi-final at FC Wimbledon. I didn't go to watch him. My friend had a ticket available and he couldn't go anymore. But I was like, yeah, sure. It was quite a tough day. I'd got back from a 24-hour flight back from Vietnam, or journey as it were, and needed to stay awake all day. So I went down to AFC Wimbledon. It was a lovely morning. I was knackered. He's a talented player. Reminds me of that Winks kind of skip mould of our plays. I thought he was taller than he is. He's not actually that tall. A technical level above all the AFC Wimbledon players. A step up to Leyton Orient would be good. I found for AFC Wimbledon in that match, when they couldn't get control, they would drop him deep, and then they would get a little bit of control, and then they wouldn't be able to do anything in the final third, so then he would move up to a number 10 position, but then they would struggle to get control. So he was like seesawing in that game, but he scored some bangers last year. Go watch a goal compilation of George Abbott on loan. I don't think he'll be one to make the grade at Spurs one day, but I never say never. Development isn't linear. It's not linear. And there's a nice player there. I think Will Lancashire goes again on loan. For sure. He struggled in the Championship last year. I thought that was a level too high for him. So maybe down to League One or maybe to the Championship again. But again, Ryan Mason can have, I think, 2 Spurs loans. Maybe Lancashire. Back to West Brom, but under a manager that cares for him. Craig, I think it's Matthew Craig, his brother we sold. I think it might be time to sell him. He went to Mansfield on loan last year. He's had a couple of loans now. I think he went to Barnsley. He's fine. He's a good young player. But he's not one kind of competing with the likes of Abbott. Certainly not Devine. And obviously our other midfielders. I wouldn't be surprised to see if we loan him again and then he goes to League One club, and then we increase his value a bit, and then we sell him. But just to make sure he gets a career in the Football League is important. Shall we get Van der Ven while he's just sitting there into starting 11, because that's like obvious, absolutely obvious. My coffee's gone cold. What a shame. Who next? Radu Dragusin. He's going in depth, to my dismay. To be honest, I don't love Dragusin. I think he'll perform better under Frank, just because Ange's play didn't really suit his game. But I worry about his press resistance. I think he's. We sold Davinson Sanchez, and Dav was not great under pressure and passing out, but he was so much better than Radu. Again, he's very young. He's got to develop, but yeah, not my favourite, but he's not going anywhere, especially while he's injured. Kevin Danzo is obviously depth as well. Obviously depth. Moving on to some... Let's get some players out of the way, and then we've got a discussion. I've already mentioned Udogie that I think he's starting, so Udogie can go in the starting position. And then let's go to Callum Olasesi, who I'd love to see get a loan, but I think he'll stick around the development squad. Made his debut last season. Talented midfielder, along with Hall, along with Reece Russell-Denny. Yeah. I like Olasesi. Oh, he should have a career, for sure. Now, we've got some players here. Brennan Johnson. Brennan's not going anywhere. He goes into depth. Frank wanted him at Brentford for that Mbuemo role. Some people think he might play on the left. I disagree. I think a lot of that's just based on the fact that he's right-footed, but he scores goals on the right anyway. And he's more... I know he doesn't do much in possession, but he succeeds on the right. So I just don't know when you've got our left-sided options, you would put him on the left. So, yeah, Brennan's depth. And to be honest, I'm fine with Brennan being depth. Fine with it. If he can score as many goals as he did last season and in the Europa League final, bro, I don't care. You stick around, bro. Dejan Kulusevski is honestly one of the hardest ones to talk about. Decky is still injured with his patella injury. One of the best players in the team last season. I think he was... I don't think any player really deserved the player of the season role that much, except for maybe Decky, Bergvall, or Maddison, maybe Solanke. But like, he had a part of the season where he was unplayable and he was clearly the best player in the squad, but then he was running to the ground by minutes and he was absolutely knackered because he played a load of minutes, and also he's one of the most intense runners in the league. He's constantly top 2, 3, 4, 5 of distance covered in the league, Kulusevski. But I worry about his future, I think with the rumoured signing of Gibbs-White, Maddison being there already, so that's 2 10s. Maybe not playing 4-3-3 so he doesn't go in as an 8. Kudus being signed on the right. Johnson isn't going to go anywhere. We're going to have a lot of games, going to be a lot of minutes to go around. But I wonder where Decky fits. Now, if Morgan Gibbs-White plays 8... Oh, sorry. No, yawn. If Morgan Gibbs-White plays 8, I can see Decky being 10 cover for sure with Maddison. And then I think he'll still be cover on the right. Kudus and Kulusevski, they kind of do a similar role, progressive dribblers, progressive carriers in very different ways. They're both very secure in possession. Kudus doing it by pure dribbling ability, like his touch is unbelievable. But also from like Decky's strength, Kulusevski's strength, he's so good. And you can tell when he's tired or not as fit or carrying a knock that his strength, which is such a key part of his game, does drop off a little bit. But when he's fit and firing, he's so good. And I worry about it, but we were so afraid under Poch of selling anyone. Like, we probably should have sold Eric Dyer to Manchester United, and maybe even Danny Rose, and been less sentimental over players that were clearly exceptional but also replaceable. Maybe Decky's that. Maybe at some point, it won't be this summer while he's injured, probably, but you could see him being a £60 million player to somewhere. Maybe a Man City, maybe back to Italy, somewhere to Spain, to the Bundesliga. I think he's just brilliant, but I do worry about where we're going with the squad makeup and Kulusevski. Mikey Moore, I think he's going to stick around as depth. But no, I'm really stuck on Mikey. I'm going to give him pre-season because there's not really any rumours about him, just kind of fan opinion and journalistic opinion. That Mikey, I think a loan would be great. I think his physicality is good, but it's not there yet. You can tell playing on the wing that he kind of lacks that burst of pace to kind of get past Premier League level players. He needs to be a bit more clever. I wonder if he has a role in the future as a kind of a number 10. I think in the inside forward role under Frank, he could be really good. But he is 17, 18 years old. He got a lot of minutes last year, and he had a really bad illness last year that kept him out of the squad. I'm curious to see what happens with Mikey. He is the future of Tottenham for me, and I would love to see him stick around as long as he gets minutes, and if not, give him pre-season, see if he needs a loan or if he's going to get minutes in the first team squad. Everyone is back now, by the way. All the players are back, so I don't know who we'll see. We might not see a couple of the players that just came back in the last couple of days, such as Mikey, because of the under-19 championships, Gray for winning the under-21 championships, and Odebear and Tell, both semi-finalists in the under-21 championships. They've all come back a little bit early, so maybe we'll see them against Reading, but I have a feeling it'll be in the match the week after against Luton, I think. So let's go to Richarlison. I love Richarlison. Statistically, when he plays, I saw a stat the other day, he gets like 0.9 goal involvements per 90 or something. He is one of the top 4 performers in that way when he plays. I think Richarlison, from his personality and that time when he first joined and he struggled to score, but it turns out he was carrying an injury where he literally couldn't kick a ball hard because it caused him so much pain, so he scored those 2 headers against Marseille instead. He gets a lot of flack, I think, purely for his personality. I think he's funny. I think he's great. And I think he wears the badge, like, to be cringe, but with honour. I think he truly does. I think he fights for his team really, really well. But his injury record's bad. It was bad before Ange. It was bad during Ange. If he could stay fit, honestly, I think he wouldn't necessarily have to be depth. I think he would truly be pushing for that starting spot with Solanke. His hold-up play is good. It's not as good as Solanke, but it is good. He's not going to spin and turn and play a creative pass like Solanke can. But he's good enough, a more traditional number 9 in that respect. He's decent on the ball from his wide left days at Watford and Everton. He was a great striker at Everton. Outperformed Calvert-Lewin almost always, basically. When he was way better up front than Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin had 5 minutes of being a good player for Ancelotti, and that's about it. Richarlison, when fit, is statistically an exceptional striker. He's developed into a really good striker. And you don't have to agree with me, but I know I'm right. But I think he's got to be sold after all that, just for injury reasons and probably timing. There's rumours of a move to, I don't know if it's Palmeiras in Brazil for a big fee, for like 55 million. Now that seems crazy to me, that fee from a Brazilian side, but they did just sell 2 players in Esteval and someone else, I think to Chelsea. If we can get a big fee like that's rumoured one to Palmeiras, they've also just made a shit ton of money from the Club World Cup. Then fantastic, fine, great, and we can invest that in a striker who in Europe to be back up, and we could hopefully invest it in someone that's, could challenge Solanke. I don't think we'll have that problem like we did with Kane, where it was like all of these guys are going to be back up no matter how good they are, because no one's going to be as good as Harry Kane. I think we get someone to compete with Dominic Solanke. I think Richarlison is a better goal scorer than Solanke. If I could drop the mic, I would. But it's Solanke's all-round game that makes him so amazing. Some comments from Reza. Reckons we need to loan Mikey. Yeah, I can completely agree with that. When we do my list at the end, we'll do mine and then we'll ask you guys in the comments what you think you would do to the squad. And keep Vuskovic again. I think that might be quite likely. It depends on the pre-season, but the options for a back 3 are limited unless we buy another centre-back, and we don't really want to... never really wanted to block the pathway of these players, if we sign another centre-back. So it's a really difficult decision. Do we just stomach having young backup at centre-back? I've been saying in a chat that I think this season we're not going to win the league, but we want to be up near top 4, top 5 for sure. We need to see a big improvement in league form and have some good cup runs. But it's not a season where we need to... I think we can afford development. Put it that way. I think we can afford development of some players. And that's where an argument for me with Tell comes in, which I don't want to talk about yet because there's 2 players I want to discuss. But first, Odebear, you might have seen on the pod that sell Richie for 25 million. Yeah, 25 million, 30 million, 25 million for Richie would be good as well. Yeah, I'm glad that I made you pity him a little bit. People don't like him much, that's fine. But honestly, go watch him play when he's had consistent minutes, and he's been a good striker for the club. Just injured. It's just a real shame for Richarlison. What are my thoughts on Wharton? Wharton is one of the best midfield talents in England for sure. Maybe in Europe, I think he's exceptional. He had an injury spell out, and he struggled. I think at first to get back into the swing of things at Palace. Needed a little bit of time last season, but once he's great. He's a first-time passer, really press resistant and defensively good. I think he would be perfect for Man City in a Rodri role, but they've bought Rodri, then Nico Gonzalez, who they might sell, and then they've got Reinders now, who might play a bit of that role. They don't need him, but I think he would have been great. And yeah, but I do think he stops Gray from developing as well. I think Gray is fine for a bit, Riser, for his versatility. Do I want to see him at right back? Do I want to see him at centre back? No. I want to see him in midfield. It's going to be a lot of minutes to go round, but I agree. I think Wharton would absolutely kind of stop Gray developing, for example, any number 6 coming in. If Bentancur stays, or if Basuma stays, which is unlikely, I think. It does, and these are tough decisions. But again, we'll have a lot of games. But yeah, I do think he'll stop him from developing. Mikey Moore, Mikey Moore too young. Don't grow into their bodies till 2022. I've said the same thing, Rain Man. I've said exactly the same thing. He does need to develop. I don't mind a loan, though. I disagree on the too young for a loan. Lots of players go out on loan at a young age, at 18. That's fine. I'm fine personally with both. I'm fine with the idea of Fodening him. But we have to make sure he gets minutes. I do think we need to be slightly afraid that Ethan Nwaneri, who, shame he's at Arsenal, he is a stupidly good talent. They're at the same agency, and given Arsenal signings, there's rumours Nwaneri might ask to leave. Mikey got a lot of minutes last season. He was happy. But he's going to want the same or more this season. Ironic. And if we can't give him it, I think we have to promise him a loan. I think we just have to make sure that he wants to stay at Spurs, because he could be the future of our team. But you're right, men don't go into their bodies till 2022, and that's going to be a question mark. I think that really is going to form where he plays long term. Does he I think he could be Jared Bowen-like, or does he not really have that pace, so he becomes a more number 10 kind of player that floats across and kind of goes out wide and stays in the middle? It's a complicated one that I'm glad I don't have to make the decision on. Now, as you may know from the podcast, I am the director of the Wilson Odobert fan club, because I defended Wilson Odobert a lot to people who were Johnson fanatics, which is fine. Johnson scored a lot of goals and he's our hero, but you know how a number of us on the pod feel about his in-possession game. Odobert joined the club, missed pre-season, had a pre-season at Burnley but not with us. Looked like he was going to be the starting winger on one of the sides, or at least very heavily rotated, because he started immediately. Then he got the injury. And then he came back, and like other players, he came back, and then he got injured again, and it was serious. I think his hamstring disconnected from, gruesome warning here, from the bone. I don't know, but he had a really serious hamstring injury and had to have surgery. And then he came back, and he never had any rhythm. But I might surprise you with my answer here. And that is dependent on another player. And he's definitely a player in it. I loved it when Odobert scored some 3 back post arriving late goals that Johnson did. It just proved that you have a player that can take people on. Also, he's number 10. He plays number 10 as well. So, he's a winger that can have his head up and be creative, which I really like. My only problem with him is, I agree, guys, that full preseason will definitely help him. It's definitely a player in there. I worry about Kudus coming in and blocking his potential, but we need someone of Kudus' quality on the wing. We've needed that profile. We've needed a dribbler. We had to do it. So I think Wilson will go in depth, but we'll get onto another scenario in a minute. Another scenario regarding Wilson in a minute, because I want him to have minutes. Tell and Son. Tell. If I described these players, it would be the same. Left forwards, pacey, 2-footed, unbelievable ball striking ability. You wouldn't know who I was talking about. Tell's probably a little less 2-footed, but we saw he had some shots with his left last season. I agree, Rosa Johnson can't play. Yeah, maybe Tell and Odobert fight it out. That is one of the scenarios we could see. Son, legend, hero. I think after winning that trophy, he's one of the only players we can truly call a legend. Build him a statue, or at least give him a mural. He is Tottenham through and through. He was Tottenham through and through when Kane was here. He is Mr. Tottenham of the modern day. He just is. watching him lift that trophy honestly makes me well up in tears, because I was so happy for Spurs. I was so happy for us as fans. But my days, I was so happy for Son, because I always have had this kind of sad feeling that players like Vertonghen, like Lloris, that gave their career, Eriksen to an extent, these guys that gave their careers to Tottenham, their peak years, Alderweireld to Spurs, but mostly Vertonghen and Lloris. And I've always felt sad that they might regret some of their Spurs career because they didn't win something, and they were... Vertonghen was and Alderweireld were two of the best centre-backs in the world. They just were. Lloris, for a period of time, was one of the best goalkeepers. For a large period of time, was one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And I think people forget that because of his older years. Like, to be fair, like, the best goalkeepers in the world now, I've seen Buffon make mistakes. I've seen Neuer make mistakes. I've seen Donnarumma make mistakes. People make too much of it. So, yeah. I was always sad, but seeing Son and Ben Davies a little bit win that trophy was just amazing. And the rumours are that he could stay, the rumours are that he could go. Honestly, it either could happen. But I think go out on a high. Go out on a high. Don't let anything taint your time here. You can go anywhere you want. The club will respect your decision. But if we want to keep him around and treat this as a transition year. And he can go at the end of his contract. And that defines Odobert in depth. And that leads me to put Tel as starting left winger. Now, some people I've seen comment they don't think he's good enough for that. And I do think you're banking on potential. I really do. Ange's system did not benefit Son. And it did not benefit Tel. It was shoving two inside forwards, or wide forwards, striker types, out wide on the touchline to dribble up the wing, create width. Yeah, they can do it, but Son hasn't been able to do that for years as he's got older. Tel did a bit. Tel can, but it's not his game. If we're going to play like Brentford a bit last season, Kudus, Tel on the left and right, Kudus on the right, Tel on the left, allows for that inside kind of forward striker role, and Solanke being able to be a hold-up 9 and play other players in. I just think Tel would thrive. If Tel is our starting left winger, and we can stomach a year of development in the league and adaptation. He's had a bit already. I think Tel could get 15 goals in all comps this season. He's got the confidence to do it. He just does. The way he jumped in the fans when he first joined, really taking accountability when other players weren't, something common in the Bundesliga. He shouldn't have to at a 19, 20-year-old. Absolutely not. But he did. And that's great. And I think he has got incredible mentality. And whereas I think Odobert is just as talented in a different way, as a different style of player, more of a touchline winger or number 10 dribbly boy, Odobert does not have that. Oh, sorry, there's a police car going by. 2 seconds. I need to get some soundproofing in this room, for sure. Or move house. Odobert doesn't have that. He doesn't seem to have that pure self-belief that Tel has. He seems a little more reserved, and I just think Odobert needs to grab the game by the neck sometimes. I watched him in the under-21, and you can see there's a talent there, but I just feel like he's got the quality to own a match, and I need to see that first, whereas I think Tel has the mentality to do that. I really do. So, here we are. This is my list based upon news and conjecture and rumours and kind of not with the signings that are rumoured at the moment, but we've talked about that. We've talked about Gibbs White. We've talked about potential 6. We've talked about a potential left back, left centre back. But this is where I think the squad would stand if we were going to have a starting team in the Premier League come August and we didn't make any more signings. In that world. What we're going to do, though, we're going to... Yeah, I agree, Riser. Johnson can't play left wing. Tell Odobert fight it out, as I said. Odobert can still big goals out the box. Yeah, I want to see that, though. I need to see it. I really like him. And I think he'll stay around for depth, but I could see a loan. So what we're going to do is look at another alternative where I think Odebear would get pre-season. I think Moore would get a loan. Actually, no, I don't know. I think Odebear would get the loan because I think you're right. There is a question mark over Moore's age. Let's put them both there. You guys can tell me what. Son stays and he's the starting option at left wing. And Tell goes into depth. Heavily rotated with Son because Son can't play all those minutes anymore at his age. Or does Son become the backup striker to Solanke? Is another one. Because Son was playing a lot more in the 10 positions last season and got really good at assists and stuff. So you could kind of see him playing a little false 9 in a way. He's played striker before to success, and he's played it there to not much success. Either way. But this is another scenario. And yeah, I do remember Odebear's first game, the reception squad. I think I was there, that Everton game, and he was just a breath of fresh air. He really was. I really like him. Glad someone else seems to like him as much as I do. But I'm trying to be realistic here. I think this is an option. But now, should we get on to what I would do? Because this is about me. Before it's about you, which it will be about you, it's about me. All right? We're going to see what I would do. If money was no object, I still think Son goes. I think it's time to move on. I think Tell goes here. I would sell Dragusin. I would sell Brennan Johnson if the option came in. I would loan Mikey. I would put Odebear in depth, but still considering a loan. I would sell Ben Davis. I would loan Donnelly. I would consider signing another centre-back. So I'll leave these two here. I know someone said Vuskovic could stick around, but I don't know. Pre-season, give him a loan. And is there anyone else I would change? I would give Divine pre-season. I really like him. And any changes here? No. I don't think so. I think that's what I would do with the transfer window in mind. And we'd probably have to sign a lot of players in my version. I would still maybe give... in mine, I could still have these two here. And then we need to do a lot of work. But that's mine. But anyway, let's put it back to what it was. So Tell was there. Son was in sale. I can't remember quite where people were. But let's put Odebear depth. Let's put Moore on loan. Let's put Divine on loan. Let's go back to Dragusin depth. Johnson depth. And Davis pre-season. So guys, in the comments, please, if you don't have to, I'd like you to. What would you do? Give me some options. Let's at least 3 changes. Give me some changes you would make. All right then, Revo. Thank God I'm picking the squad. Tell me what you would do. That was just if money was no object and I got to have free reign to make the changes I want to change. But tell me what you would do. I'm getting pelters in the Echo WhatsApp for saying Werner was good at chance creation when he first joined. Hey, he was. If you see his stats when he first joined for that 6 months, he was. I wouldn't never have kept him. He took up a squad space 2 years. Rose, I think we're going to need to sign Gibbs White and a left back. I think we'd get away with that. I really do. I really do think we'd get away with that, but I would like to see a 6. But as we talked about, Morgan Gibbs White could be a number 8 maybe. But yeah, tell me, what would you change? If not, we'll close the stream and we'll do it. We'll do something else like this. I definitely want to look back at this when we've got all the signings done, come the start of the season, and we've had a bit of a view into what the team will be like come August. So Will thinks hopes Son stays as our best finisher. So that's fine. So we put him in depth, or do you want him in starting 11, Will? Just reply to the pelters I got from Jake Sanders in the WhatsApp. Takai loan, local with time at Hotspur away. Yeah, we can do that. I think that would be a good option. So yeah, as I say, we'll have I don't know when it will come out, but prepping a video about Takai. He's definitely a really big talent. Did really well against Ronaldo in playing his Saudi team. Yeah, he's a talented player, but it's going to take him some time. Well, Son's our best player, starting until 10 Johnson and Odobert overtake him. Okay. Yeah, this is another scenario I could easily see with heavy rotation. And honestly, I'm fine with that. Honestly, I just think the club doesn't decide Son can do what the hell he wants. Donley in depth from Rain Man. Okay, interesting. I had him here, didn't I, originally in Give pre-season? But yeah, in depth. Okay, interesting. I think a step up from League One to the Championship, and then maybe to Premier League or a Premier League level, like top 5 league, is the way forward with Donley. I don't think it's make or break quite yet. I don't think it is. But because he's so talented, his vision's unreal. Like Donley's vision is so good. His passing range is so good. It's all about mobility with him, and it improved at Leyton Orient, and we just need to see it improve again, because he's not quite got that guile of Maddison who can skin a few players and is really mobile. Donley needs to he's not going to do the half turn. He's a quarter turn type of player. He needs to play passes to kind of get in the good positions, pass and move rather than do it himself. But get offers for Keeley, I'd take it. Yeah, fair. I think if we got a good offer for Keeley, I think that's fair. Let him go and have his career. But I think the club rate him quite highly. I think we've got quite a decent few young goalkeepers. The thing with Keeley is, again, it's another one. You can make another step up and you can increase his value. But then you are gambling a little bit if he has a bad loan. But you've got to imagine he can make up the step to the Championship in regards to his quality on loan at Leyton Orient. Do I reckon Takai will get? I reckon Takai will get game time if he sticks around, and I think he would on loan. This is a talent here. Is he ready for the Premier League? It's going to take him some time. Bit of spoilers for the interview I had. They said they were surprised he went straight to the Premier League and didn't go to a Bundesliga side, which is very normal. There's a big Japanese almost like partnership, I guess, with the Bundesliga to get Japanese talent in the Bundesliga. They've been shopping in that market for over a decade. Think Daichi Kamada, Shinji Kagawa, and more players. They're the obvious ones. They are the obvious ones. Donley had 20 goals and assists at Orient, needs to be challenged at PL level, not Championship. That jump is hard. Dele Alli did it, but how often can we see that happen? So anyway, sorry. Yeah, Ito at Bayern now, yeah, that's very true. Ito would have been a nice option for us as well. I think that centre-back, left-back role. For sure. So yeah, I think Takai will get minutes, but I think we need to be patient. And I always worry that fans won't be patient. But he needs time. I think it will be a while before we see him kind of contribute massively, just because he's young. He's just young, and he's got to do a cultural adaptation. Donley 20 in goals and assists. It's not easy. Not everyone's Dele Alli, as I said. Rain Man, I think steady development is fine, but we might see him as able to contribute. We might keep him around. Who knows? I like Donley a lot. If he could get a Premier League loan, man, do you want to put it this way? If he's getting a Premier League loan or not playing for us, a Premier League loan would be to a lower level Premier League side, maybe to a promoted side, and he then doesn't get to play in a team that has any sort of control in the league, and then his form and development suffers. So I think if we were going to loan into a PL level, it would be top 5 league. Valise has already gone on loan, Riser, to Rosario Central. I think long term he will absolutely be sold. Absolutely. But yeah, he's there for now. I think we want to get a fee, and whatever fees they were offering in the news, they were not adequate. But I hope he performs well back in Argentina. I think he struggled to adapt over in Europe. He is young, as we say. I can't sit here and say strikers develop late and then not give the same grace to Valise. Anyway, any more changes before we go? Any more before we go? This is just I think this is an interesting discussion and exercise. Harsh on Solomon last season was very good and he was fantastic. As I said, I think Solomon, the time has passed for him. We've bought more players in his position, and those players can play in other ones. So Tel can play up front as well as the left and a little on the right. Odebeck can play right and number 10. We've got Mikey Moore's development to think about. The team has grown beyond Solomon, and I think we got him on a free due to that bad FIFA ruling that hurt Shakhtar, and we got it to flip him. Honestly, he had a great season, and say he comes and plays a bit part role for us in the Premier League, because he's not going to be the starting player. He just isn't. He's not that good. His value will drop, so it leans all to now to sell him. I honestly would, if I had a house, I'd bet my house on Solomon being sold. You think Davis should be depth? Fair enough. Hey, let's move Vuskovic as well. Where's Vuskovic going? Because I think let's empty the gift pre-season. Let's say pre-season's done. This is what you think is going to happen in pre-season. I think that he'll stay probably. Last one before we go. A lot depends on who we get offers for. Can I so close to the buy? Yeah, true. Absolutely true. But we'll have players. We'll have players out there or on the whatever transfer tools clubs use to see who's available and whatnot. And I'm sure a number of these guys will be already listed for loan and for sale, etc. We do need a left-footed centre-back, I think, but I just don't think we'll do it unless with these young players. I just don't think we are. And in that, I'm going to jump the gun, guys. I'm going to put Vuskovic in depth, and we've emptied out the give pre-season. How are you guys going to watch pre-season? So I'll do this probably. I'm going to the Reading game on the weekend, which should be fun, and then Spurs play. I'll probably watch on Spurs play. To be honest. I'm not sure if any are going to be televised. Sometimes the odd matches are televised and there'll be illegal streams because they get televised, I think, sometimes around the world. But I don't advise you to do that. I don't advise you to use those streams. Wink. But it should be interesting. It's going to be a fun pre-season with Frank. I'm really excited to see what Frank can do. But anyway, everyone, thank you for joining me. Thank you for indulging me on this little exercise. We will be back with a pod next week, I hope. I'm not going to 100% promise you that. It's not my decision. But the planning is a pod next week. Now, there have been delays previously, so I'm glad at least we could get this out for you guys. We'll be back with more of these, I hope, whether in the studio or from my lovely spare room, while my dog sleeps while I chat away. Bless him. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment for an Echo of Glory, and become a member. Become a member. There will be competitions throughout the season for our members, as there always is. I'm sure James the producer, not James the pundit Johnny likes to call us, but that sounds way too official. I'm sure they'll have something this season. So yeah, join us for the season ahead, and we hope we can get quality, regular content to you. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Oh, that's the wrong slate. I do apologise, everyone.